U.S. President Donald Trump has sent a powerful and controversial message to the world, and this time, Iran is firmly at the center of it all. At a moment when global attention is already focused on unrest in the Middle East, Trump's words have added a new layer of tension, speculation, and urgency to an already volatile situation. As protests continue to intensify across Iran and reports of deaths surface from multiple regions, Trump delivered a statement that immediately captured international attention. Standing before reporters, he chose his words carefully, yet forcefully, declaring that help is on the way for those protesting inside Iran. That short sentence alone has sparked widespread debate. Governments, analysts, journalists, and citizens around the world are asking the same question: what exactly does that mean? Is the United States preparing for direct intervention in Iran? Is this a warning meant to deter further violence by Iranian authorities? Or is it a strategic message designed to influence events without immediate action? Tonight, we take a closer look at everything Trump said, the context in which those statements were made, and why this moment could have lasting consequences for the future of U.S.-Iran relations and regional stability. Iran has been facing widespread and sustained protests, with demonstrators taking to the streets in multiple cities. These protests are not isolated incidents. They represent a broader expression of public frustration over government policies, economic pressures, political restrictions, and long-standing grievances against the ruling leadership. Videos circulating online, despite heavy censorship, appear to show large crowds gathering, chanting slogans, and confronting security forces. In response, authorities have reportedly increased their presence, leading to clashes that have turned deadly in some areas. Reports coming out of Iran suggest several troubling developments. Hundreds of protesters may have been killed during confrontations. Independent verification of events remains extremely difficult. Media access is tightly restricted by the government. Internet shutdowns and communication blackouts are increasing. Because of these factors, exact numbers remain unclear. International organizations, human rights groups, and foreign governments are struggling to confirm casualty figures. However, the lack of transparency itself has raised alarm bells globally. This growing uncertainty has intensified international concern and placed Iran under intense scrutiny. It is against this backdrop that President Trump chose to speak publicly. Speaking to reporters, Donald Trump said that Iran is very much on his mind when he sees reports of death coming out of the country. He acknowledged that the situation appears serious and emphasized that the scale of the violence could be significant. Trump explained that the United States is actively seeking accurate information before making any final decisions. He stressed that once reliable data is confirmed, the U.S. will respond accordingly. That statement alone has sent ripples through diplomatic circles. For allies of the United States, it raised questions about potential coordination and collective action. For adversaries, it served as a warning that Washington is watching closely. For ordinary citizens, it introduced uncertainty about what might come next. Trump went further by issuing a clear warning to those he says are responsible for the deaths of protesters. He stated that those involved would, in his words, pay a big price. While he did not specify what that price would be, the phrasing was unmistakably firm. It signaled that the administration views the situation not merely as an internal matter for Iran, but as an issue with international consequences. He also confirmed several immediate actions. All scheduled meetings with Iranian officials have been cancelled. Diplomatic engagement has been paused. Pressure on Iran is being increased, not reduced. These steps represent a clear escalation in tone and policy. Canceling diplomatic talks sends a message that relations are deteriorating and that normal channels of communication are no longer sufficient. Reporters pressed Trump on what kind of response the United States might consider. They asked whether it could involve airstrikes, cyber operations, or other forms of intervention. Trump declined to provide specifics. He said that he understands the options available, that a decision will be made, but that he cannot and will not share operational details publicly. This kind of deliberate ambiguity is common when U.S. presidents discuss potential military or strategic actions. Such uncertainty serves multiple purposes. It keeps adversaries guessing. It avoids committing publicly before decisions are finalized. It maintains strategic flexibility. At the same time, it fuels speculation and anxiety both domestically and abroad. Perhaps the most striking part of Trump's remarks came when he addressed the Iranian people directly. He urged protesters to continue demonstrating. He encouraged them to take over institutions if possible and to document those responsible for violence and abuse. Trump described Iran as a great country, saying it had been overtaken by what he called monsters. While emotionally charged, those words resonated strongly with supporters of the protests and critics of the Iranian leadership. Although Trump stopped short of explicitly calling for regime change, many analysts believe his message strongly implies support for such an outcome. Political analysts say Trump's statements place pressure on both sides. For protesters inside Iran, the remarks offer moral and political encouragement. They suggest international awareness and support. But they also raise expectations of U.S. involvement. For the United States, such statements create an implied commitment. Failure to follow through could harm credibility. Future U.S. actions will be closely scrutinized. This dynamic creates a delicate balance. Strong rhetoric can empower movements, but it also creates responsibility. The central question now is simple, yet critical. Will the United States follow through? As the situation continues to develop, the world is watching closely. Governments are monitoring developments hour by hour. Markets are reacting. Diplomatic channels are tense. Key things to watch in the coming days include any signs of U.S. military movement or readiness, new sanctions or cyber measures against Iran, Iran's official response to Trump's statements, verified reports from inside Iran as information becomes clearer. This story is far from over. The decisions made in the coming days could reshape regional dynamics and redefine U.S. Iran relations for years to come.